Forbes India presents M Connect, powered by Marmo Solutions.
M Connect, celebrating architectural excellence and innovation, a brand new series that goes beyond blueprints and buildings to explore the minds, memories, and motivations of architects. Today, we kick off with a compelling theme. The Craft of Chaos is a tribute to the improvisation, instinct, and creativity that Indian architects bring to unpredictable real-world conditions. Deadlines shift, sites show surprises, and designs evolve under pressure. And through it all, remarkable spaces emerge. In the studio, we have with us today Thakur Udayveer Singh, founder, architect, and chief managing director, Space Race Architects. Space Race specializes in most of the building topologies, including residential, industrial, hospitality, cultural, educational, and health institutes. We also have Shalini Ganguli, founder, Shalini Ganguli Interiors. Based in New Delhi and founded in 2015, the studio focuses exclusively on residential and lifestyle interiors. And lastly, we also have with us Adreesh Chakraborty, founder and director of the Earth Home. Under the visionary leadership of Adreesh, the firm reimagines the boundaries between architecture and environmental responsibility. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Udayveer, let me start with you. Since you have a lot of experience in topology in architecture, what has been the most messiest site you've ever worked on? Tell us what was happening and how did you navigate through all of that chaos?
I personally feel that every project is messy before the inaugural day. For me, the messiest project till date have been my own office, which was converted to office within 1 month. It was abandoned property. I think it was unused from like 20 to 25 years. Even my father told me that it's waste of money. Why don't you plan it from the scratch? But I was fussy enough because I wanted to expand just in 1 month. So what I did, I converted that abandoned property into a office with least amount of resources involved. Even the collapsible doors were converted into tables and things like that. And it was real fun. It was converted in 1 month. Everybody who visited felt that the vibe is very different, very modern, yet very traditional. That is connected with our roots and all. And moreover, we even didn't change the flooring. It was old 40-50 years floor, which was polished twice or thrice.
Well, great. It sounds intense, but I'm glad that everything came together at the end.
Yeah.
Now, Shalini, coming to you, you work at the intersection of community, craft, and constraint. So, has there ever been a time that you had your perfect design idea, but you had to change it last minute because of some real-world on-ground challenges?
I haven't had to change it as such, but there is a project that I'm currently working on where it's slightly in the remote areas of Punjab, and we are having to tackle with a lot of lack of skilled labor over there. We have managed to get a lot of people on board locally, as well as send a team from Delhi and try and make up and cover for where the lack was over there. In fact, even the client pointed out that we've designed something monumental, but how are we going to execute it? So this is to be seen right now. Maybe I can come back for another show and let you know how that went.
Great, Shalini. And what about you, Adreesh? Have you ever said to a finished project, that is not what I had in my mind? Has that ever happened to you? And what did that moment teach you?
Well, it's definitely happened, but not in that particular sequence. So I mean, this question reminds me of a school, actually, a college that we did, a law college, professional law college in Bhopal. And we had designed it in a way that we had actually made the students' wing completely autonomous. It was supposed to be on its own so that, the students and the teachers, when the students are there together, they don't kind of interact. But they had their own independence and there were courtyards. So the school was designed in such a way that the students' wing was on the upper 2 floors and they had their own courtyard. And the teachers' wing was below that. And then all other parts were on the other wing. Now, the scales and the design and everything was done accordingly. And towards the end, when the project was finishing, I got a call from my client and say, I love this building. I'm going to put the headquarters of the corporate office on top of your building. So what happens is that another floor gets added. Of course, I sent the drawings for that, so it was not totally a surprise when I reached there. But then the entire scale changed, and the whole idea of the students having their own democratized space completely went for a toss, because you had the headquarters on the top, and then the courtyard looked onto the headquarters, and they put a glass roof in between. It completely transformed
Well,
the
that's
nature of the
interesting
space.
to know
Yeah,
that, sometimes the space can teach us more than just a sketch ever could.
absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
coming back to you again, Uday, since you spoke about how you found your way through chaos and built that wonderful project of yours, now has there ever been a time when you had to make a last minute design decision, but then you were not sure about it, but it actually turned out to be one of the highlights of that project? Has that ever happened to you?
I personally feel that this happens almost every time when the cake is ready and you have to put cherries on it. A lot of time what we do is we tell client that whatever things you have, whatever you want to keep as a recycle thing. For example, we used old langa as a photo frame. We used old sari as a fan element, and that turned out to be a very beautiful and yet very innovative and very creative thing, and people just love it today also.
Great how sometimes last minute decisions can actually become something unforgettable.
Yes.
Now, Adreesh, what about you? Have you ever had to make a design decision which made you rethink everything that you know about architecture, not because it was flawed, but because your perspective towards it changed?
Yes, this again takes me back to an old project, way back, I think, maybe 15 years back. A very good friend of mine, she introduced me to someone who wanted to make a house in Punjab. And it was in the middle of Punjab, and they had been used. They were used, to stay in Havelis. So actually, the old Havelis, and throughout India, if you see Havelis, they're all stone Havelis, but Punjab has all terracotta Havelis. Like in Bengal, Punjab, you have a lot of terracotta. And as architects, when we were in architecture school, and the people we trained with and interned with, they were all modernist architects, and the thought process was very modern. And by modern, I mean modernism from the 1900s. And we were actually, trained to not look at intricacies, decorations, but rather making things as simple as possible. So when I first came onto this project, I actually had to deep dive into what a Haveli in Punjab really is. And when I did that, I was actually mind blown, because it was so beautiful. There's such tremendous detailing in everything. And then I had to actually let go of a lot of my ideologies and thought processes as an architect, and then deep dive into this. And we actually went to the level of creating bricks with the local brick people there, and we made different brick modules and different tiles, and the detailing of the building was just phenomenal. So, and as in terms of sustainability as well, one thing I learned was that these buildings were automatically sustainable by the way they were designed, and that helped us a lot in our simulations, because we took those design principles and put them together. So we actually ended up making a true Haveli in the modern times with all those technologies, and also we kind of revived that in a way, and that kind of, I think, transformed a lot of my architectural thought processes, and that has informed in the architecture that I practice today.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think you also evolved as an architect.
Absolutely,
with
absolutely,
that experience.
absolutely, yeah.
Shalini, coming to you on a more personal note, have you ever felt creatively stuck? If yes, what did you do to come out of that phase?
I don't think I necessarily feel creatively stuck when I'm in a project, but I do go through a period where it's like vacuum. It's like literally like right after I've handed over a project, because just because of how much of a head rush a project is, from talking to clients initially, trying to bring their vision out, the design process, the drawings, the execution, changing mistakes, the constant process of bringing your vision to life is such a head rush that when I hand over a project, I do go through a period where it's like a vacuum, and I don't know how to restart it. But then in that phase, what I try to do is just do things I love doing, which is listening to music, going swimming, and things like that. And it's a lot like falling in love, isn't it? It's like you fall in love, it doesn't work out. You go through that period where you're like, I'm never doing this again. And then you come back to it like, yeah, okay, fine, I like someone else again. So it's kind of a process like that where creatively you just find your juices flowing all over again.
Well, thank you for being so honest. I think I would want both of you also to share your experiences. Do you also sometimes get creatively stuck, and how do you do to come out of that situation?
Well, I can't say it's stuck because we can't afford it, number one. So, it's a constant cycle of when you're inspired and when your inspiration is low, okay? And I think there's a method that all of us individually must have evolved ourselves to make sure that, even if we are in a rut creatively, we are surrounded with enough creative people, in our teams. We have, these great things that we've been inspired throughout our lives. And somewhere that keeps us going. But yes, I would definitely say that there are times when you're way more inspired and there are times you're less inspired, but that actually at the professional level may not come out as, like say an artist or like an author who gets stuck. Maybe in our practice it doesn't come out as starkly as that.
Yeah. What about you?
To be very frank, it happens with me a lot of times. I feel that I'm practically totally exhausted and I'm not getting any new ideas, new things which I can implement in design or something. So what I do, I'd make it a point that after 2-3 months I go on a holiday or sometimes just sit at home doing nothing, trying to refresh myself, trying to do things which I love to do other than design. So I always try to go on a beach holiday and just relax and let the new ideas flow in again. So I think vitamin C works for me.
Great.
Vitamin C beach.
One question to the three of you, starting with you, Udayveer. How do you handle chaos across diverse projects?
I would not say it's a chaos again. I would say it's a break to a monotonous life or monotonous design ideas. So 1 hour I'm designing a beautiful residence, 2nd hour I'm designing a beautiful banquet, 3rd hour maybe some religious building. So it's break my monotony of a day and it's give me a pleasure working on number of projects and typologies of projects.
Yeah.
So it's a creative bud which infused me to do some creative things.
Great, Udayveer. Coming to you, Adreesh, sustainability versus real world challenges. How do you strike a balance through your architecture, through your designs?
Number one, we take the versus word out. They're not fighting with each other. So sustainability is, I get, a way of life. And for us, I started my career with some of the greatest pioneers in sustainability, and it's kind of evolved into a way where our design is automatically around that. We don't necessarily have to go out and say we are sustainable. In fact, there was a time when we had to sneak in sustainability because our clients would ask us, why are you doing this? Real world challenges are the same, which are there in any other project. And sustainability at our end is essentially, we do a lot of passive design, which is essentially we look at the sun and the wind and all of that and see how we can automatically reduce what a building requires, make it more optimized, and then look at other factors. So I think that is not a real world problem, really.
Yeah.
It's something that we look at our design studio ourselves, and we've evolved our own process over the years. So, yeah.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Adreesh. Shalini, what about you? How do you personalize for a client, especially when it comes to intimate spaces like their homes?
The beauties of designing a residence is that you have to personalize it under pressure or no pressure. Whether it's a very finicky client, whether it's a very easygoing client, residential spaces, you have to personalize it. You have to find a way to maneuver around it. But yeah, I don't see myself as a fine artist where I'll go into someone's home and do what I want. I see myself as an applied artist where I'm trying to bring the client's vision to life. I do take pride in the way I personalize. I think it's something to do with my own journey, where I was my first client. I never studied interiors. I was completely self-taught. I was on a sabbatical from my day job in advertising, and I thought, let me just take 6 months off and then go and beg some former boss of mine to rehire me. That didn't happen, because what happened was I started looking at areas in my house which were problematic, and I wanted to solve them. That problem solution equation kind of became a thing for me, where I wanted to do the entire house, and I used to blog about it. So the way I started my career was getting featured before I was an interior designer in Inside Out Australia. So that's how my career began. So I see myself as my first client. I see how I adopted the process that I adopted, which was try and solve their problems in the most beautiful way that you can. And this is what I apply in every client's project. So the clients always know that I'm on their team. It's not an ego battle. It is not you versus me. We are always going to be playing on the same side. And that's how I approach all my projects and personalize everything.
Well, that's a great backstory that you had to share with us.
Thank
Now, coming to you again, Shalini, has there ever been a moment when you had to take a design decision which you were absolutely not sure of, but when you look back, it actually became the highlight of your project, and it's just one of the best projects for you?
My answer is going to be nothing related to the question that you've asked, but it was an accident. It was in my first project, where I was like a fish out of water, and I had no clue what I was doing. I literally worked with an architect friend of mine, and he was like, no, I'll give you all the support that you need. And I jumped in not knowing what I was jumping into. And in that project, I actually did all the marbles in all the bathrooms without doing the plumbing. So we had to tear them down and do it all over again. So I don't know if it was an accidental thing that had a better outcome, but it was an accident that definitely was a huge learning curve for me in my career.
And Adreesh, what about you? Any accident that actually turned out to be beautiful and the most beautiful and best project in your career?
I can't think of any drastic ones like the example she just took. But I would say that in all projects, there are things which are not controlled. So when you say control, so you can only imagine that you are controlling the project, and like Frank Gehry would say, you have only 15% control in your project. And the rest of it is all chaos all the time. So you're dealing with all that chaos all the time with a straight face, and you're going ahead and finishing a building. So, and also a building's gestation period is about on average 2.5 to 3 years. Sometimes, I mean, the longest one was 8 years that I've done till now. But in all that process, sometimes the people change. The clients themselves, their team changes. So, a lot of things are happening at the back end that one requires to deal with, and the vision of the project, what it started with, and by the time the project is closing, sometimes the vision has changed. So that has also happened to me. But within 2 years, 2.5 years, usually the vision doesn't change.
Yeah.
And you end up creating more or less what you want. But it's a constant, I would say, nurturing of the project, the people, the spaces that requires to be done. So it's not like you get in, finish it, get out. It's not like that.
And
So
I think it's the part of a real process.
it's a process. It's a process. So you can't say on day one that this is what I'm going to design, and then you have that exact thing after 3 years. It's never like that. Sometimes if you're very lucky, what you designed and what it looks like would be the same. But there's so many nuances which are behind it that you wouldn't have even imagined. But then once you practice for a few years, you get to know that this is part of your game.
Well, thank you, Uday, Adreesh, and Shalini. That was a great conversation.
Pleasure.
Well, that was a raw, revealing, and uplifting conversation. As we've heard today, great architecture isn't born in perfect conditions. It's often forged in the chaos. I'm Radhika Sinha, and you've been watching M Connect, celebrating architectural excellence and innovation. Until next time, stay curious and keep building.
Forbes India presents M Connect, powered by Marmo Solutions.